So what I think I'm going to do as the series continues is just keep a running list as of which historical finals this series matches up for. Because the Warriors absolutely came out and beat the pants off the Celtics in Game 2 in the fourth quarter. It was a tight game back and forth. Golden State led by 1 at the end of the first quarter, led by 2 at the end of the half, and then starting with the third quarter, they just came out and blitzed Boston. And the Celtics could never recover. If you take away that 40-16 fourth quarter, the point differential for Golden State is just massively in favor of them. And from the onset, you knew it was going to be a different game from the Warriors, given the way that they closed to Game 1. Up 12, and then you lose the game, as aforementioned, up, outscored 40-16. I mean, from the get-go, Draymond tied up Horford on the very first Boston possession of the game. Tatum continued to start slow, picking up where he left in Game 1 in terms of being ice cold, but eventually he got it going. At one point he was 6 of 8 from deep, had 26 points, but the plus minus, if you put much stock into that, was not on Tatum's side. I believe it was minus 36. Even as Boston opened up with a 13-5 lead, the Warriors showcased better ball movement and distribution. Boston was particularly sloppy with their fouls. I mean, Jaylen Brown fouled Gary Payton II, who got a standing ovation in his return since being injured in that play by Dillon Brooks in the semis. And even though the Warriors didn't convert on their paint play or their free throws to begin the game, Boston was just so undisciplined that Udoka's got to address it for the rest of the series, or else it's going to be a real short series for Boston. That isn't to say Golden State isn't without its flaws. Curry may put in all the points that he wants and Golden State wants, but this team runs as Draymond runs. To the point where I think Draymond's going to snipe the Finals MVP from Curry if they win the series. If he stays emotionally in the game and doesn't do anything foolish, Golden State has excellent work to make this into another Finals win for them. But if he loses his cool and starts picking up technicals all over the place, and he did pick up a technical in this game, then Boston will be able to find a way back into this series. Side note, it would be a little bit funny if Draymond wins Finals MVP instead of Curry, because obviously Iguodala won the Finals MVP in 2015, the Cavs won the Finals in 2016, and then Durant ran off with the next two in 2017 and 2018, and then Kawhi was Toronto in 2019. So, one of the biggest criticisms against Curry is his lack of Finals MVP, which at this point just seems like nitpicking, to be perfectly honest. But it's a criticism, and you would have to presume that if Golden State wins this series, Curry would get the Finals MVP. Unless, of course, Draymond continues to be Draymond and is seemingly the more valuable player, in which case the voters might reward Draymond. But back to the game actually being played in the present and narrowing in on that as opposed to the potential larger scope. I mean, Boston had 7 turnovers in the first quarter to Golden State's 2. And that also is something the Celtics are going to have to address. They played well for a half, but they didn't play well for the entire game. And you cannot win a game in just a half against these Warriors. You cannot do that. And if you try and duel with Golden State by 3-pointers, you will lose the series every time. You may win a couple of games, but you're not going to win the series. I mean, at one point, Golden State gave up a wide open three to Derek Wright, who knocked it down to make it 40-35, and then the Warriors immediately responded with a 10-0-1. And it just wasn't as efficient for Boston from outside this game. As expected, and I said so in my previous video, Smart and Horford weren't nearly the sharpshooters this go-around. Side note, I've also come to the conclusion that finals games should have like 4 technicals per player instead of 2. Because there wasn't a small thing between Green and Brown that would have warranted a technical on Draymond if he didn't already have a technical. And it was obvious the referees didn't want to alter the game and the series by ejecting him. So, in order to solve that problem, each player should get more than 2 technicals per game, in my opinion. And then from there, again, after the half, Golden State blew the game open. It turned into a 3-point shot duel. Other notes, Draymond was far more aggressive this time going to the basket than he was last time. I mean, and he was hitting free throws. He was 0 for 3 in Game 1. He hit free throws in Game 2. And by the time the third quarter was over and Jordan Poole was doing his best Steph Curry impression and getting in on that fun, you knew the game was over. Curry started the fourth quarter on the bench and never left it. Although I will find it interesting that Kerr did leave Clay in for a good portion of the fourth quarter.
Here it comes.
And still, based on historical trends, even though Boston won Game 1 on the road, they're still facing an uphill battle. As you can see, the finals wins total 5, while the losses total 9. That is not good. That's a 1 in 3 chance of winning. And Boston is going to have to make adjustments, and Udoka's got to address that on the flight home. And they've got to come out and be ready for Game 3.
Watch out!
They really have to be ready for Game 3. Because every single team that lost Game 3 in this scenario went on to lose the finals. You have the 5 winners who all won Game 3 at home. And then you have the 57 Hawks, the 84 Lakers,